Hey everybody, welcome back to James Draws Everything. Continuing today with our James Across America series. Today is Columbus Day, so we're going to be honoring the good of America. We're going to be honoring Christopher Columbus. So we're just going to do a quick drawing of one of the most important people to have ever lived. And we do not tear down our heroes here at James Draws Everything. We do not tear down great men. So, in the Americas now, there's a lot of that. They want to call it Indigenous Peoples Day, which is kind of ridiculous. Because, Columbus... he was a great man and does not deserve this kind of false history that's kind of laid on him now, because a lot of it is just basically nonsense. Just starting off with the fact that Columbus, when he sailed the ocean blue, like they teach you in school, 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue. The world was a very different place at that particular point in time. Columbus, he was, I guess you would probably call him Italian by today's standards. Columbus was, his voyages were actually sponsored and commissioned by the Spanish Empire. And to understand Spain at that particular point in time, that's right after the Reconquista. So when the Spaniards basically reclaimed their country from Muslim invaders that had, kind of set up shop in Spain for a few hundred years by that point. So these were a battle-hardened people. They were not soft, right? So. Because again, they just spent hundreds of years reclaiming their country, and then after that, it's called the Golden Age of the Spanish Empire. So that's pretty much when it's at its height, as far as like the discovery of the New World. Its kind of place in the world. Spain does decline, of course, over the subsequent centuries, and kind of gives up the seas to Great Britain, and they kind of inherit that empire. But getting a little ahead of ourselves here, let's talk about Christopher Columbus. Alright, so we're going to do, just going to be a basic, just pen and ink drawing today. I think I'm going to refrain from color. Yeah, so the Reconquista, these men that reclaimed their country, they, of course, went out and that adventurous spirit, discovered great things. These were great men. I don't think, the people that obviously, they try to call this like Indigenous Peoples Day today, and they say how like Columbus was like a uniquely evil person, which is just nonsense. Or they'll even try to downplay his achievement. And just think, he didn't just do one voyage either. There was multiple voyages from Europe to the New World, and no GPS, no technology or anything like that. So even with GPS and technology, all these critics of the great man Christopher Columbus, none of them could actually do that even once, let alone multiple times, and without technology. Even if you gave them a GPS, they probably couldn't do that. And the odds of surviving, in that time, like if you actually did make that trek across the Atlantic into the great unknown, it's almost like being like a World War I fighter pilot, right? Like there's pretty much like a very, very good chance that you're not going to make it, right? So when Columbus does arrive in the New World, again, remember, these are not soft people, but they were horrified by what they found there, like the Aztecs and the Incas, and then some other tribes as well, practicing cannibalism, human sacrifice. right? So they made it their goal. It wasn't just like, oh, they were going to for riches and greed and whatnot. No, these were people that just reclaimed their Christian country from Islam, and it was not easy. There was a lot of violence involved. They saw it as their duty, to God to end these practices. So, they'll tell you today too. It's like, oh well, that's their culture. We should respect all cultures. Nah, I don't. I actually think that evil is evil. And yeah, Columbus and his crew, his subsequent voyages, they put an end to that, and I think that's a good thing. And yeah, the discovering the Americas, they try to downplay it as something not impressive, not really worth celebrating. But again, this is one of the most important events in human history, right? Because you have this idea of what the old world is, and then that's pretty much shattered, right? It's like, wow, there's all this other stuff out there too. And the Colombian Exchange, right? So the Colombian Exchange is basically what happens with all the goods that Europeans brought to the Americas, and the goods that they discovered in the Americas that they brought back to Europe. Right? So America, potatoes were native to America. They were not from Europe, So the Irish can thank Christopher Columbus for that, right? So he kind of belongs to everybody, right? All the Europeans. Tomatoes as well. So the Italians can thank him for that. The tomato was not native to Italy, right? That was grown in the Americas. Cassava, tobacco. That's pretty awesome. We've discovered tobacco in the Americas. And then, of course, if you're Virginian or from that particular part of the world in the Americas, that kind of mid-Atlantic region, tobacco basically built that part of America, right? The tobacco economy. And then what did Europeans bring from Europe to the Americas? Domesticated animals, right? So horses. There's some recent study on this that kind of goes back and forth, but it is believed that horses were in the Americas, but this is like, we're talking like prehistory here, like ancient times, like when I think it may have been like when the continents hadn't even like fully separated yet. But yeah, horses were more of like an Asiatic and European thing. But when they're brought to the Americas, right, they're domesticated there. It greatly helps with agriculture, transportation. So the people that existed there did not have horses. And then when you talk about the people that existed there as well, you can't talk about it as a monolith, right? So there were a lot of people, that were practicing like, those evil deeds like human sacrifice and whatnot. But there's a lot that weren't too, especially like in the Americas, like when they talk about the American Indians or something. It's like, well, what are you talking about, right? Because there's hundreds and hundreds of, different tribes and ethnicities that they all kind of have their own issues, with each other. And, it's not just kind of like a black and white thing. It's a little bit more complicated than that. So, yeah, and then Columbus, in his voyages and subsequent travels and whatnot, they did Christianize a lot of that part of the world. And it's kind of like today, it's one of the most Christian places in the world, is like Latin America, and that all comes from Columbus and his voyages. Now, it's not, you can't like, again, Columbus, he brought many voyages, hundreds of, different people went with him and stuff. So when I say Columbus, I kind of just mean, I'm talking about him like in the colloquial right? So there was a lot of other people that were there as well that we can give thanks to for bringing civilization and whatnot to the world as a whole, the discovery of the new world. But yeah, we just like to say Columbus because he was the most important one, right? And it is his day. Yeah, so again, putting a stop. You can read some of the actual original letters still exist. So like Cortez, for example, when he explains the human sacrifice and stuff that he saw, he was completely horrified by it, right? And it's interesting, he actually calls them mosques, like the altars that they were sacrificed on, probably because he didn't know the indigenous language, right? I'm sure, in Europe, obviously there's different languages, but there's a lot of commonality, like in the Latin languages and whatnot. But you're going to a completely alien part of the world, so there's almost no overlap there, right, with what the natives speak versus what the Europeans would have spoken. So, yeah, he calls them mosques, the altars, probably just because, Spain just coming out of the Reconquista. That's just kind of what I guess they would call, like, your rival church, your rival castle. Alright. So I'm just drawing his hat here. We're almost done. Just wanted to get a quick drawing of Columbus on this. I'd like to say it's a beautiful day, but it's actually pretty nasty out right now here where I am. Not in the hurricanes, thank God, but yeah, it's just raining. Raining in October, never fun, right? Summer's over. Getting cold. Alright. So, a quick sketch of Mr. Columbus here, and let me just get just gonna work some finer details into there. Right. Yeah, so if you I don't know. I know the kind of garbage that's pumped into kids now in public schools and whatnot. Show them this video, right? Let them know what a great man Columbus was and is. Yeah. Okay. And I wish I knew who the artist was that originally did this. Christopher Columbus, obviously an extremely important person. Not sure how much his legacy was already kind of written in stone, like at that point, but he would have been a man that was revered, for what he accomplished. So yeah, only important people really had paintings done of them, back then. As a painter, that was a very skilled trade. Not everybody could just paint or draw, right? All right, James, be humble here. Okay. Yeah, so Columbus, obviously, he had a lot of paintings. I just never really got into art history. I know I should be, but that always bored me, like in college. Maybe if I had better professors, or if I went and tried to do it now, I would know more. But yeah, it's just never really been my thing. I like beauty and stuff, right? I can look at something and say, hey, that's really nice. But as far as like knowing who did what and what particular style, this was like not really my thing. I don't really know that much. And he's got like a kind of textured, like sort of cape robe sort of thing. Yeah, so Columbus Day, they're trying to get rid of it. It's pathetic. Like, I can't even imagine what it's like now, but I remember, so I went to school, right, in like the 90s. And you had a little bit of that like back then, because you know, basically all your freaking public school teachers are Marxists. And I just remember kind of finding that weird. Like, they didn't really press it as much. Like, they didn't go, like, you know, they actually did teach you that, oh yeah, you know, the people that were here already were, they were not, you know, a goody two-shoes. They were doing very evil things, but, you know, they blamed Columbus for bringing, like, disease over and stuff like that. And even as, like, a little, like, first grader, I just thought that was stupid. I'm like, well, they don't even really know what diseases are or how they I mean, they probably thought it was, like, you know, something from God, or like, who knows, right? Like, you didn't have like the kind of science and stuff that you do today. So even as like a little first grader, I just thought that was like really stupid. like you're blaming him for like purposely like infecting these people. But you know, and that would have happened anyway, right? Like, whoever came to the Americas first, if it wasn't Columbus, you know, they would have brought diseases. But now, you know, yes, obviously a lot of people died because of that, but then the people that survived now have immunity, right? I mean, that's just kind of how the world works. So thinking that he's like some uniquely evil person for that is, yeah, it's ridiculous. Just give it a little bit more soul in those eyes there. Okay. All right, everybody. I think we're close to done here. So let me just write Christopher Columbus. Lots of stuff named after Columbus, right? Columbia, the District of Columbia, Washington, D.C., right? Like the nation of Columbia. Like, so one of the most important men, you know, in the history of the world. Like, as far as I'm concerned, he's right up there with like Jesus Christ and George Washington. Yeah, just probably like one of the most important events in human history, right? The discovery of the New World. So that is Christopher Columbus. Hope you're all having a happy Columbus Day. Don't forget, actually check out my video later today going up in honor of Columbus Day. In our flag series, we're going to be doing Spain. Okay, so we'll talk a little bit about some of the stuff we talked about today in that one too. But yeah, like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next video.